Hello and welcome back to the RGVSports.com RGV Hoops podcast. This is episode 8 for us, and we are down to 2 teams left in the Valley basketball season, both for boys and girls. To break down the end of the girls season, I have our girls beat writer, Jon LaFollette here.
What's up, Greg?
And I have our boys beat writer, Mario Aguirre here.
Hello, Greg.
How's it going, guys? So, let's just get right into it with the 2 teams that are left standing. We'll start with Edinburg Vela, who will play Alamo Heights on Friday. And we have Santa Rosa, who will play Goliad on Friday as well. In the Class 3A regional semis, Vela's in the Class 5A regional semis. So, Mario, you were at the Vela game. Why don't we start there and talk to me about who they beat and how they did it to get to this point in the season?
They beat Victoria East. They were ahead by 2 points at halftime. And I haven't been to too many Edinburg Vela games this year only because I had a feeling they would win every game by 50 points, and they got pretty close to it. They struggled, I guess you could say, against the Victoria East, considering they've blown out a lot of teams. By halftime, again, they were up by 2. It was one of the more athletic teams they faced. They were coached by a first-year coach there, and they went 21-16 heading into this game. So the record kind of made me feel like Vela would have a chance, just because they hadn't done so well. I think they might have even been the 4th seed, if I'm not mistaken, in that district. And so Vela, as an impartial observer, I could say Vela didn't get too many breaks here with some of the calls. They had like 4 traveling calls throughout the game, 2 in the first quarter. And Victoria East just capitalized on a lot of just cuts to the basket, whereas Vela missed a couple of layups and easy points. But then at halftime, coach was saying how they were playing man-to-man and then kind of trapping players, and the Victoria East coach said he hadn't seen that all year. And Vela broke through in the third quarter, went on a 20-6 run, and that was it. I think it was like 31-16 in the second half, and they secured their ticket to the next round, to the 4th round for a second straight year.
You mentioned that you hadn't seen Vela much this year, so was there anything you learned about them or anything that caught you off guard getting to see the team in a big game up close?
No, it's the same thing as last season where they go 5 in, 5 out. They kind of do it around the 4 minutes into the quarter, or 4 minutes into the quarter, they'll sub out their starters. Their bench will come in for 2 minutes, and then they'll bring the starters back for the last 2 minutes of the quarter. And I actually wrote that on Twitter, how I expected the bench to come back at the 2-minute mark, and within like a minute 55 or a minute 58, they brought back the starters to give them some rest. And one of the things in this game that was unusual was that the Vela coach, I guess they usually kind of encourage their players to shoot threes, but in this game, at least in the first half, they didn't like, I guess, just their chances there with how they were hitting them. So third quarter going into halftime, he told the players in the third quarter not to shoot many. And to my recollection, they shot 2, made both of them, and it was part of that 20-6 run. So they were a little more conservative as far as the looks go, and they played a Victoria East team that also likes to take a lot of three-pointers, and they only made 1 yesterday. And their coach is kind of talking about how that kind of influenced the game, because usually they're used to getting those extra points and hitting those outside shots, and yesterday they only had 1 3-point make. So that was unusual for that team.
Who ended up being their leading scorer in this game? I know playing 10 guys, I'm sure a lot of people got on the board.
Yeah, they only had 2 double-figure scores with Ryan Garza led them with 15, Hector Ruiz who had 14, and then they had a couple others who chipped in with like 9 and 6, and probably I think they had like 8 players score, so it's the usual balance that team has. I think one of the more interesting things with them is that they've incorporated a lot of players, or like 5 players, which I think is a lot considering that's a second unit. And they've incorporated a lot of players who weren't part of last year's team and have been able to really not miss a beat. In fact, they went undefeated in the district this season. And now I think the only thing that might have me a little bit worried is that they needed a big 4th quarter run in the area round to get to the 3rd round. And then yesterday they needed to make adjustments at halftime to try to win. And I guess it might be a little bit concerning considering we're used to seeing Vela just run away with games early on. So as the playoffs go on, I guess they notice too that the athleticism keeps going up, and it reaches levels to which they're not used to seeing, like Victoria East yesterday, who they said Victoria East was the most athletic and fastest team they've seen all year.
Now, you mentioned the area round game. Did you cover this one in person?
Area round, no.
Against Flower Bluff? Do we know anything about that game and how it went down? Because Vela came out with the 74-65 win, but you said they needed a fourth quarter run to do it?
I want to say it was something like 25-6 or something to turn things around in the fourth quarter. I forget. Just in talking with several people who were at the game, I think they were saying that Vela might have played confident, if I'm not mistaken, or might have played a little overconfident, and the other team, I guess, might have felt the same way heading in the fourth, where they had the big lead on Vela, but then Vela turned things around. And I think that game, I don't think it was at home. I'm going to try to pull my notes, but that game...
For which one?
For the Vela Flower Bluff game.
Oh, it was like Kingsville or something, wasn't it?
Was it? Okay.
So, anyway, is there anything else that you want to take away from that game, or anything else that jumped out that was important about that area round matchup?
No, not really. I guess it might have just served as a lesson for them not to get too overconfident if they were, but I mean, just in talking with the coach today for a preview that's in a Run Friday's paper, you're seeing how they're, even though they have all these great players, how he thinks they're one of the more humble teams, and I guess I've seen that too, because it seems like for a team that has as much talent and for a team that's as loaded as they are, it doesn't really seem like they have any chemistry issues, and I think they pretty much know who they are, and they played well with one another these past couple of years.
So what's the scouting report on the regional semifinals against Alamo Heights?
I did some research on them, and I guess with some of these, I guess it's not surprising to see that as the playoffs go on, teams stop updating their max preps, and that's what Coach Rios was saying, how with these last couple rounds, teams will stop updating their stats so that opposing teams and trying to scout kind of don't have a sense for who the leading scorer might be or who might be their top rebounder. And in this game, just they've had a couple of days to try to get ready for Alamo Heights. They figure that the way Alamo Heights plays, they're going to try to take away Vela's speed, considering that's their bread and butter right there, their speed and then the 3-point shooting. So I guess just in practicing today, they were trying to work they were trying to find ways to kind of work around that and kind of prepare for the different sets that they're expecting Friday.
Any kind of height disadvantage that they're going to have to deal with in this one?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was John who had told me that he might have looked at the roster and said that they don't have a player that's...
They've got one guy who's shorter than 6 foot. Everybody else is 6 foot or taller, according to their max price page.
Whereas Vela has maybe 3 6-footers or players over, but Vela coming in this year graduated some of their height. They lost a freshman post who transferred to San Antonio, and this year they replaced them with Vincent. I'm blanking on his last name, but Vincent played freshman dark last season and went from that to varsity starter. And Coach Linas has kind of tinkered with the lineups more so than last season this year with trying to incorporate 5 players. He's kind of changed things up to where when I was doing interviews, kids would say, yeah, we started, but then they started for a certain stretch of the game, for a certain stretch of the season, and then Rios kind of changed things up and brought in different starters, and some of that is based on matchups and others just style of play that he wants to go with, whether he wants to go tall or whether he wants to go fast.
So do you think Vela gets the win here? I'm going to put you on the spot for a pick. We've done it all
I will
so
say
far.
yes, just because I think I might be the only one that says yes, and at this point I need to catch up.
Yeah, I'm just going to lean no. That seems safe.
Yeah.
I think when you look here at Alamo Heights,
You're looking at a team that...
well, yeah, they've got... No. When you look at a team like Alamo Heights...
There's a mule, right?
That's my terrible John Madden impression. No, if you look at a team like Alamo Heights, more so than the size, it's just they've got a lot of seniors on this team. But, here's the thing. This team seems kind of hard to peg. I'm just looking at their max preps page right now. I've never seen this team play. I've never even seen Vela play. But just looking at their schedule here, they really don't blow you away. They only beat McAllen Memorial by 3. They lost to Laredo Alexander. They only beat United South by 6. They beat United by 10. They've got beat pretty badly by Clark. They only beat Bernie Champion by 1. You look up and down the roster here, their schedule here, they blow out the teams they should blow out, but the teams that they should win, there's nothing really convincing here.
Huh.
And that just kind of, especially against Valley teams, you'd expect a team like Alamo Heights to maybe win some of those games by 20 points or so. Now, granted, to be fair, that Memorial game looks like it was around the Thanksgiving holiday. Maybe they didn't have all their guys. Who knows? Maybe
Right.
Memorial does have some height to match up with that, though. But who knows? You mentioned that Vela might have some big guys. Are these guys that get consistent rotation minutes, or are they're there because they're tall and Vela might need a big guy in an emergency?
Well, Vincent, one of the kids that I interviewed for the feature that's running on Friday, he's taller, and I think he started a chunk of this season, And before they had Luis, I want to say his last name might be Salinas.
Yeah, it's
Luis?
Luis Salinas. Number 45, props to
Yeah,
Luis.
good rebounder. I liked him when he played, but I think they took him out just to get a little more speed in there with Vincent, who's a little bit lighter. So they've kind of messed around with things a little bit. So I guess especially as the playoffs go on, I don't know if he might change it to where Luis Salinas goes in to try to match up more height because he has a little more bulk. I don't know if that might be the plan against them. Coach Rose really didn't go into it, I'm sure, for competitive advantage sake. But when I did talk with him on over the weekend, he had said that he thinks Flower Bluff got worn out toward the end of the game. He said the fact that they pushed the tempo and they fouled out one of their better guards, that probably he thinks that led to them turning things around. And he said that allowed them to be more aggressive with their press, with their full court press. And he thinks they did a good job of spreading them out and making them have to trap and plow. Not plow.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Anyway, John, who are you taking in this game?
That's tough, just because I don't know anything about this. Should I stick with my tried and true mascot?
Yeah, and that mascot theory is never going to go wrong. Because I don't know what a saber cat is or how potent it is.
It's a saber cat versus the mules. Really, of all the animals, you pick the mule.
Evidently.
I mean, maybe Alamo Heights is a blue collar neighborhood, so maybe the mules kind of reflects the constituency of its neighborhood there. I don't know. I mean, a saber cat. If saber cats, I assume saber cats probably would kill anything in the UIL tournament.
Well,
if
there's
it's
Vela.
a real animal, so I guess I'll take Vela.
All right. Now, the other last team standing is Santa Rosa. Mario, what can you tell me about Santa Rosa? They got a 76-47 win against Falfurrias on Tuesday. And before that, last week, got a 47-44 win against our guy Lamar Odom. So what do we know about Santa Rosa and how they managed to get this far and what their prospects are going forward and whatever you want to tell me about Santa Rosa?
We know they're led by Leo Lara. He led that game. He led the team with 20 points.
Against Falfurrias?
Yeah, in that game yesterday. And I'm pulling up they had another player who contributed big for them yesterday. They had Matt Garcia, who our reporter Mark Molino, who was at the game, said that was a big spark plug for them. He scored 16 points, including 12 in the first half, and they got the revenge against the Falfurrias team that beat them in the postseason last year. So now with this, Santa Rosa is one of two teams standing. They'll play in the Region 3 tournament Friday 6 p.m. And they opened a 14-3 lead with 3 minutes left in the game to pull through and win 76-47. So I guess by that point the game was already decided, but I guess it was game of runs for Santa Rosa there.
Now, is this the same kind of thing where teams at the 3A level, once they get to this point, the competition gets a lot harder, or does Santa Rosa have a legitimate shot to keep going from your perspective?
I did not see them go this far, but I mean, I would imagine that they have a chance with Leo Lara, who at this point I think it's safe to say will be in contention or in the running for all-area player. I guess if we had the All-Valley thing, I guess you don't know how that's going to work out, but he certainly is there.
Right.
He's had a lot of breakout. He's had a lot of big games this season. Has scored 40 points at least twice that I've seen when I've checked some of the box scores. So tough to say. I'm not too familiar with the other school, but I think as one of these last teams standing in the Valley, I believe they certainly have a chance, especially if they're able to pull off runs like they did against Falfurrias, where they were up by 31 going into the fourth quarter.
So we also saw, going back to this area around Tuesday games, just some of the other teams that we had been keeping an eye on all season had their years come to an end. You got to see Laredo United beat McAllen Memorial 52-44. What happened to McAllen Memorial? Why did their season come to an end here in this round in the regional quarterfinals?
McAllen Memorial, I saw him play the area round.
Oh, yeah, right. You covered Vela yesterday, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, what do we know about what happened to Memorial then?
They didn't lose by much. I mean, it was 52-44 tight game. Didn't get to speak to the coach afterward, but I wouldn't suspect it'd be height just because McAllen Memorial has a good amount of height in this game, but it seemed like it was close throughout when I was following some of the scores. But, I mean, they were coming off a nice win there against Edinburg North. Might have been one of the better head-to-head matchups that we've seen so far in the playoffs. And, I mean, I didn't see too much from that game in terms of the box score or any of that, so I don't know what happened against them.
I got to see McAllen Rowe lose 73-53 to Laredo Alexander. This game was really not that close. Rowe struggled really on offense, to try to get anything going. Laredo Alexander was running this kind of half-court trap, and they would run up and double-team the point guard every time they got the ball across half-court. And so then once that happened, McAllen Rowe was just rushing their offense. They were taking really bad threes whenever they had to look at the basket because they just couldn't really get inside against these guys. And Coach wanted to try to move things side to side and get some penetration going that way, but it just wasn't happening because they were all over them every turn. And the Rowe kids, after the game, I talked to Alex Keith, he's the senior there, and he said that they were really shocked by how the extent to which Laredo Alexander was just all over them. And I came into this game thinking it would be pretty close just because Alexander had played a close game against Palmview, and Rowe had done pretty well against Palmview, and Rowe had played a couple Laredo teams and done okay and had similar results to what Alexander had.
And Rowe beat Vela.
And yeah, then you got that too, that Rowe beat Vela. But Alexander really took it to him, and it just felt like Rowe never had a shot in this game. Rowe, they went down 9-0, and then they got the score to 9-7, but then just as quickly it was something like 18-7 again, and then it was all downhill from there. And they fouled a ton in the fourth quarter to try to get back into it, but they really couldn't. I counted 12 turnovers and 27.4% shooting for Rowe, and that includes 4 for 26 from three-point range, which is not going to get it done. So that is the reason that Rowe is no longer playing.
One thing about this game was it was at Roma, your favorite school.
Correct.
Favorite city.
I'm a huge fan of the Roma Gymnasium. What do you think about it?
Oh yeah, I like it.
Oh, that's a really cool gym. That's probably what, if I could just go to any game or go to any gym and watch a basketball game in the Valley, it's like Roma's top of the list, and it's not even. I don't think it's even close. Like I really.
Westaco's good.
Westaco's got an okay gym, but I just like the intimacy and just like the kind of old school vibe of that Roman gym. Like everyone's right on top of each other. They're right on top of the court. It's small, but like once it's packed, like I bet you the crowds on there when that gym is packed. I bet you the crowds are awesome.
What about Yellow Jacket Arena?
That's an okay gym.
The floor is like the old Charlotte Hornets thing.
Yeah, it's got the honeycomb court. The court design's really cool. Just in terms of like the overall aesthetic of like watching a high school basketball game, you really feel like you're in the moment in Roma more than any other basketball arena I've been in. Not to say all the other ones are crap, but I just think Roma's in a league of its own for sure.
Now we have now broken down basically all the regional quarterfinal games. We can take a quick look back at the area round just in case there was anything you wanted to touch on from there, and we can review our picks. Mario, how did we do again in this?
You did well. Thanks
all
for
right.
You did 10. You went 10-4. I went 7-7, and John using his absurd method here.
It's not absurd.
Well, listen, it's about time that John got what he was owed for making a really stupid pick.
After going one over, he was
after
one
doing pretty well the first round. Yeah. So, any games from here that you think we need to touch on? I think the Rowe Westaco High game was one that was a surprise for everybody.
Rowe, not if you ask anyone associated with Rowe. They saw this coming, and I didn't see it coming simply because Westaco I thought was one of the more deeper teams. But Rowe came out with a game plan and executed it perfectly. They were committed to trying to get Justice Free in foul trouble. Did that. Justice Free didn't have a good game in that game in Rowe. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had a good shooting game, which they did not have against yesterday.
Not.
So I guess, I haven't heard the phrase "live and die by the three" this season from Rowe, but I guess you could argue that's what happened yesterday when shots weren't falling. But give Rowe credit. I don't think anyone saw them coming. Certainly, we all picked against them. In this matchup, I know I did the feature on Rowe following that game, and they were saying how they kind of expected this, or they expected to win these games, and part of it is just the underdog mentality that they feel that they can play with these teams. That the win against Vela, I think, will go down as a game changer for both teams because it gave Rowe confidence that they could play or that they could beat these teams, and Vela kind of forced them to reassess some of the things they do well and kind of get them on the same page as far as like not playing individual basketballs. Like I guess what they're saying is that it made them focus, it made them a little more focused, and kind of humbled them a bit because at that point they only had one loss all year, and they went to a Houston area tournament, and their goal this year was not to lose to a Valley team. So they almost did it if not for that Rowe loss. So that win for Rowe was a big boost, and when I saw the score there at halftime, they were up 39-17. I figured that was the same road team that beat Vela. And just in talking to the Vela coach today, he said that it's pretty much their speed that Roe took advantage, and I'm sure that's what they did against Westlake, which, as deep as they are, I think they're more bigger than they are faster.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you covered McAllen Memorial 59, Edinburg North 48.
Yeah.
Give me your 1 minute read and takeaways from that one.
DJ Johnson just showed his potential again, had 3 dunks, really took over the game. I saw him early in the season when I thought he was playing kind of within the system, and this is one of those games where I think he kind of took over and left his imprint. They really shut down Edinburg North in that game, especially in the third quarter, Edinburg North might have had, I think it was 1 field goal in the third quarter, and that's where McAllen Memorial really pulled away. The Edinburg North coach was saying that he just, with that game, that I guess it was just their defensive sets again that made all the difference. And McAllen Memorial returned to the third round in that time for the first time since, I'm trying to remember, it might have been like 3 or 4 years, the first trip. And that was kind of their goal, considering they were bounced out of the first round last year, and this was DJ Johnson's senior season.
Then on Saturday, you covered Corpus Christi Millers 56, Sherryland Pioneer 41. Anything of note that you want to mention on that one?
Little bit of a snoozer, if I'm being honest. Neither team really played well. I know Corpus Christi Miller won, but I wasn't really impressed with them. Pioneer just seems like they might have been, their shots weren't falling. I think they were overmatched a little bit just with their defense. And I think just the big takeaway from this game was they missed a lot of opportunities inside. They're big, just as Watson went off for 21 points and really punished Pioneer. And then by the same token, Pioneer missed a lot of shots underneath with Watson guarding Mike Madrigal, who I did a story on heading into the postseason. So, I think it's just a good year for Pioneer's second-year program. They get the second seed in 31-5A and then get their first playoff win. But against Miller, they just, I guess their inexperience showed. Anything
else from the Thursday area round games that you think bears mention?
No, not really. That was it.
Okay. Well, then we will be in touch with you again next week regarding how this stuff plays out for Edinburg Vela and for Santa Rosa. And we can talk to John about the end of his season, where Westlake High was the last team standing, and they lost to San Antonio Wagner 60-35 in the what round was it again?
This was the 4th round, regional semifinal round.
You got to be at this game.
Yep.
I don't know if it was much to see, but
not really. No, this game played out about the way I thought it would. With Westlake, all season long, one of their strengths was they were versatile. They could be fat, they could play fast and up tempo, or they could play half court and slow things down. Wagner was too tall and too fast to try and outrun them. So Westlake entered this game trying to be very, very methodical on offense. And for the first half, it really worked. Whenever they had the ball in the half court, they did a really good job of breaking the press that Wagner tried to come out with. Their ball handling was great. They really didn't cave into the pressure too much. They held onto the ball a lot. And there were some possessions that took like 45 seconds of clock, just killed it. Because Westlake would rather kill clock and get a good shot than rush things and get a turnover and have bad offense. And in the first half of this game, they got their looks. They didn't make any of them. I think their two offensive threats, Jasmine Yees and Bree Payne in the first half combined for like 1 of 18, 1 of 13, something like that. And when you miss a lot of shots, the other team that's got 2 6-foot players is going to get a lot of rebounds.
Right.
Shouts out to Amy Garcia, their post air quotes there. She's like 5'4", and she's their post. They were boxing out.
You mean Draymond Green?
Right. She's Westlake Draymond Green. She was boxing out every possession, working her ass off down there. But when the other player's 6'2" and you're 5'4", they can just reach over you like this, just put their hand out over you and get the rebound. And that's not over the back, that's just height advantage.
Right.
And meanwhile, while Westlake's offense was struggling, Wagner's wasn't. Their point guard, Amber Ramirez, she's like, as you mentioned on the last podcast, she's signed to TCU for a reason, and she was hit lights out in this game. She had 25 points. There were several three-pointers in this game where she you know how the basketball court, there's always like that additional logo on the side by the benches.
Yeah.
She was shooting from there and just nothing but net. And she was calling it too. She was doing the Kobe pose, which after sometimes something just follow through, he'll hold his wrist out. She was doing that, and they were just going in. And there's nothing you can do when you're Westlake and those shots are going in. So this game worked out the way I thought it was. Westlake had a fantastic season, but there comes a point where speed and height are things you can't really account for when they're not in your corner. it was all Wagner all the time in this game. And nonetheless, shouts out to the Lady Panthers on the successful season they had. So,
anything else you want to say about the end of the girls' basketball season?
No, we'll just save some things for the All Area podcast we'll do here in a couple weeks once we give out some awards here. I've got nothing else to say really. So
absolutely, and then I guess before that we will be back next week with the recap of the final 2 boys games and anything you, Mario, wants to add to that. So, you guys have anything else to talk about before we get out of here?
Track and field, we're in full swing now. I just wrote a feature on Joshua McGowan, of McGowan High. He was their all-star running back this season for that team. He's killing it in track and field, and his 1 year here at McGowan High is looking to set a lot of Valley records and possibly contend for a couple medals at the state track and field meet. So check that out. It's the Monitor. Today's issue of the Monitor. This is what, Thursday now? Yeah, Thursday's edition of the Monitor and RGVSports.com. And as far as where certain track meets will be, there's 4 in the Valley. There's one in Laredo at the Border Olympics, which isn't really a valley, but you know what I'm trying to say. Port Isabel. There's one in Mercedes, and there's a new meet this year. There's one at UTRGV.
Cool.
So I haven't decided which one I'll be at yet. I heard the one in Mercedes, they might feed me, so I might go there just to get a free meal. We'll see, but keep on the lookout for that.
Can't go wrong with that. Mario, what else you got going on?
I will be at the game Friday in San Antonio.
Woo!
It is Vela's returning to the site where they lost last season in the 4th round, the Blossom Athletic Center in San Antonio. I'll be there Saturday. I'm going to be there Friday. I might come back Sunday, and then we can do the podcast for the 5th round Tuesday.
Yeah, if we've got time, I don't think we should wait for the next podcast.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah,
no reason.
Well, it's more relevant.
actually, it might be Tuesday, right? Or no?
Well, it's more time.
We normally do it Wednesdays, but we can do it Tuesday.
We can do Tuesdays. We'll figure it out. We'll figure that out off the air.
That seems sound.
We'll be there at Monitor Photos. We'll be there too. And then we will also, I don't know if it's Mark or Freddie that will be covering the Santa Rosa game as well, so you guys could follow along the tweets. We'll be on Facebook updating videos.
At RGV Sports, we'll be retweeting whoever it is, so you'll know where to go for that stuff as well as you're on at RGV Sports.
And I'm thinking of periscoping a little bit while I'm at the
snap.
game. I just think we need to step our game up. It's the 4th round,
right?
And I'm not going to be intimidated by height.
Heard that. Mario plays bigger in big games, and that's why we like it.
Oh, and make sure that they save a seat for you too.
Yeah, I mean that's.
You just got to know who's in charge of the seats.
Yeah.
John, where can they find you on Twitter for all the track stuff?
At Jon Fillet, use the hashtag RGVTrack.
I will be at Greg Luca for your soccer and UTRGV basketball needs. And then I guess with that, we'll be back next week, all right?
Yep.
Talk to you guys later.
Have a good one.
I'll be at the Edinburg Vela postgame party.
Woo! Are you going to be at their victory banquet?
It's in the bag, Mario says.
No, I mean, that's just...
I didn't mention. I guess we can do this for Periscope. Check out the names for these Goliad players. These are great. We got Tangle Johnson.
Wow.
Rocky Morris.
Do you have any Thors?
No.
No Thors?
Thor Hernandez. That kid was cool.
Cassidy Bego?
Cassidy Bago. Duncan McKay. Ulysses Bland.
Wow.
Orion Hosey. Cameron Bogus. Yeah, there's some.
Don't skip Mac Wimberly.
Huh?
That's a good name.
Where? Yeah, Mac Wimberly. I really hope these are all real names.
I even like Howard Eli. I'm on a soccer.
Yeah, all these kids are seniors. Oh man, all these kids are seniors.
I'm really bad with the names, so Greg, you could read them.
Well, Alamo Heights, do they have any cool ones? Jonathan Dunn, Preston Hicks, Peter Sitter.
Sure.
Wow.
He's like, wait, this is a basketball game? I thought we can't. Never mind. I'm not going to go any further.
Evan Carcan. I can't read that.
EJ Aranda.
EJ, yeah, not as cool as Goliad, except for Will Schmacker.
Will Schmacker.
That is classic.
Mario, your goal is to interview Will Schmacker and not ask him any questions about the game unless he has like a career night, but just ask him what's it feel like to have the last name Schmacker.
That is incredible.
I mean, you can do so many things with that. Like you know the kids at school call him Schmacker.
You think his parents knew that they were naming him Will Schmacker?
William Schmacker?
Like they knew that they were making.
What do you think they call him, Bill, and he just went with Will?
I don't know.
Oh, you think it might have been his call?
Maybe Will Schmacker because it actually sounds like a sentence.
Well, Will Schmacker hit a layup at the horn to give the Mules a 31-17 lead.
Yes.
At halftime.
Oh, so he's relevant. Okay.
Will Schmacker. Could you imagine? Man, I hope this guy goes to the NBA or something. And now at guard, 6'4", 155 pounds from Alamo Heights High School, Will Schmacker.
How
great would that be?
With the first pick in the NBA draft.
With the first pick of the NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Will Schmacker. You know the tanking is in if they're going to take Will Schmacker first overall pick.
You think the Rockets are going to get the first pick?
The Rockets? Will the Rockets get the first pick? Nah, the Celtics are going to get the first pick because they got the Nets pick.
That's Will Schmacker with the 3.
Oh, snap. Oh, Will Schmacker getting buckets. Yes. Will Schmacker. Buckets.
Oh, you got it loose.
Splash.
No,
Splash. More like Stephen Curry Schmacker. Look at that. Splash. Got ice in his veins. D'Angelo Schmacker. That's what that kid is.
D'Angelo Schmacker.
The legend of Schmacker. I want to meet this kid.
You want to cover the game?
Like, buy him lunch or something. Like, tell me about your life, Mr. Schmacker. I want to know everything about the Schmacker family.
Tell me.
Is he the new Kobe Patterson?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, in terms of being a cult hero.
Kobe Patterson is a legend.
Yeah.
Will Schmacker, maybe. Oh, man.
That's incredible.
Will Schmacker. I can't. It's so much fun to say.
2 years ago,
I want to change my name.
2 years ago, some guy tweeted 2017 guard Will Schmacker hit some big threes and gave us all he had on the defensive end against bigger players.
So he's a real player.
Yes. Oh, anytime he's on the court, you got to periscope it, Mario.
Yeah.
Will Schmacker.
Schmacker update. We should make a Will Schmacker Twitter, like a Twitter bot, that every time someone talks about Will
Oh, does
Schmacker,
he have a Twitter account?
God, I hope so. We should all follow this guy. He'll read our bios and be like, why are people
How
from
does he
the
spell
Valley?
it?
SCH Schmacker.
Schmaker, like Schmacher. Like Schmaker. Will Schmacker. Oh, no users found.
That can't be right.
Let me look
Well,
at
they have
William
an Almost
Schmacker.
City Hoops. They have an account.
William Schmacker. I don't see it.
This is a travesty.
This is a travesty. This is a wonderful moment. William Schmacker.
Maybe it's a fake.
I
name.
can't stop saying it.
You think this will go back to him?
It's like that scene in Finding Nemo when Dory remembers the address and she won't stop saying it. You know, P42 all the way, Sydney. That's how I feel like right now.
About Will Schmacker.
Will Schmacker. It sounds like a
That's incredible. Name legend and
name legend. Mario. If Alamo Heights wins and it's because
Will Schmacker
Schmacker hits a game winner, you got to get Will Schmacker's name like tramp stamp tattooed on you.
I mean, I would
No, he's got to get a pun in this.
Have it say like insert Schmacker here or something.
I'll take a photo with him. I'll take an SC.
Something like.
I was gonna take an SC with Ed Couch Yellow
Schmacked.
Jacket.
If Vela wins,
Yes,
Schmacked.
That's our headline.
Schmacked. Yes.
Wow.
We did it.
Will Schmacker.
Will Schmacker, the legend.
Wish I had a cool name.
People left. You got a great name.
Yeah, just single
I
syllable.
wish my name was a sentence. Like Will Schmacker.
You want a verb in there?
Yeah, I need a verb, an object.
Will Schmacker. All right, folks. Enough of the Will Schmacker.
Peace out.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Mr. Sanchez. Appreciate it.